Hello everyone, it's Peter. Welcome you back. So in this class, we will continue to talk about EC2. So last time we made an example of launching EC2 instances, and we also deploy our Spring Boot application to EC2. But in that application, if we close the console, then the Spring app will be stopped. That's not good. So that's one way to deploy it. But today we will talk about another way to use ECS. So before that, we will introduce another concept called elastic load balancer. Elastic load balancer. So from the website, uh, elastic load balancing automatically distributes incoming application traffic across multiple targets and the virtual appliance in one or more AZ availability zones. So simply saying, so we may launch many instances in a distributed system, so at different locations. For example, we have this Spring Boot app about employee services. One EC2 instance at New York, another instance at San Francisco, and maybe one instance at Chicago. Now, for users' request, maybe some instance got crashed for some reason. So what can we do? And the elastic load balancer, or we just say elastic load balancing, can solve this issue, solve this problem. So it will have a uniform entry point from elastic load balancing. And if any request goes through this endpoint, it will automatically select one EC2 instance for you. Okay. So if one EC2 instance is failed, and it will only select available EC2 instances, and it will evenly distribute all the traffic to different EC2 instances. For example, if we have two EC2 instances, then their traffic is 50-50, 50% and 50%. If there are three EC2 instances, the traffic will be 1/3 of each. So that's the elastic load balancing. In a current industry, so all the applications is not a singleton, so they will be distributed, they will be deployed on different locations on different on different availability zones. Okay. So so AWS is very good cloud computing services. You don't have to worry about to build an office in New York or in San Francisco in anywhere. So you don't have to do that. So if you develop some service, you can use AWS. Then AWS will help you to deploy those things at different zones. Okay. Now let's create an example. We will build two EC2 instances. Okay. So let's launch EC2 instance. So here I can say this one, my server one. Okay, so this is default and key pair. Now for this one, I don't need to use key pair. Okay, so because I don't want to use SSH to touch it. So network setting, select event security group. This is training SG. It's the same. Advanced details. The role is training role, training EC2 role, and then in this user data, I copy the code here. Now here I will come to my server number one. Okay, let's go through it to make sure everything is correct. My server one here is default. There's no key pair. The security group is training SG. And the role is training EC2 role. Then let's launch the instance. Oh, this key pair name. So I proceed without a key pair. Okay, as this one. Okay. This is my server one. It's in the pending status. Let's wait for a while. Okay, now it's running. Okay, now it's running. So let's click this IP. Uh, let's wait for a while. Okay, now it's coming. So hello, welcome to my server number 1. Okay. Now that's the first one. Then we create the second one. It's my server 2. And here I proceed without a key pair. And then select a security group. And this is a security group. And the role is training EC2 role. And then I will copy this again. And here I will say welcome to my server number 2. Okay. I just want to identify different locations of EC2 instance. Now let's launch instance. Okay. So my server 1 is verified, is running properly. Now let's wait for a while until my server 2 is running properly. And after that, we will build the load balancer, ELB. And there's one thing. We can either use this public IPv4 DNS, and we can also use this public IPv4 address. This is the those 4 figures. This is the meaningful name. So if we click this one, so you will also see the same thing, right? So they are equivalent. Now the second one is also running. Let's copy this one. That's another one. So it's my server 2. So now let's make sure the 2 servers are running properly. Now next, I will start working on the elastic load balancing. Okay. So there are 3 types of elastic load balancing. It is called application load balancer, network load balancer, and gateway load balancer. So we will use application load balancer. As the interview questions, you may need to remember the 3 load balancers, just the 3 types of load balancer. So we give an example of application load balancer. Okay. Let's go back here. So before we create a load balancer, we move down. This is load balancing. We first create a target group. The target group, so is a group, is to put all the EC2 instances in one group, and this group will be associated with the load balancer. Now we create a target group. So this is instances, and target group name we can say training TG. TG is target group. Simply say TG. This is default. Then just say next. Okay. So in this TG, you can include the 2 instances, or you can do it later. Okay, we can do it now, and then include it as a pending below. Okay, it's pending below. Now create target groups. Now in this target group, training TG, so you can see that the load balancer, which is non-associated, right? Non-associated. You can refresh non-associated because we didn't create it yet. Now next, I will create a load balancer. Load balancers. Okay. And then I create a load balancer. So there are 3 types of load balancers: application load balancer, network load balancer, and a gateway load balancer. Now let's move down. We create this one. So first I give a name. It's training ELB. The full name is Elastic Load Balancer. Okay, ELB. Okay. And then this is default setting, VPC, and we need to select all of them. One, that's a subnet. It may route to different subnet, so we select all of them. We are given either a choice, E, F. Okay, select all of them. Now security group. Security group is EC2. No, it's training SG. It's the same security group. So the default one I just deleted. I use training SG. So this is fine. Then default action forward to target group. It means if a request touches load balancer, the load balancer will forward this request to target group. This is my target group, and target group will automatically pick up EC2 instance to search to serve this request, and it will make the traffic evenly distributed. Okay, this is training TG, and after that tag you can skip that. And here there's a global accelerator. You can create an accelerator to get static IP addresses. So you can try this one, but currently we can skip this at this time. Then I create load balancer. View load balancer. Now this is training ELB. This is the DNS address. So you make a copy. So we need to wait for a while until the two EC2 instances are connected. So first we go to target group again. Now you can see the target group has the load balancer with training ELB. Right? At the beginning it's non-associated. Now it's training ELB. Let's select this one, and this is the target. Its initial status is target registration is in progress. So we need to wait for a while. It may take up to several minutes. Now both of them are in the zone is US East 1D. Okay. And you can specify the different zones. So this is automatically created. And if you want, you can register target for more. So if you have more EC2 instances, and you can register more targets. Now currently we have 2 targets. And when you register new targets, it won't infect the current running instances. You just can add more, or you can delete some instances, or you can add more instances. Now let's go back. We can check if this one is working. So this is ELB. Not working yet. We have to wait for a while. Okay. Let's see the target group. Yeah, I still need to wait for a while. Okay, now the health status is healthy. The details, so now it's ready, right? So the health check is ready. Now we can go back to this. So welcome to my server number 2. Then you refresh it. Then refresh it. Number 1, number 2, number 1, number 2, number 1, number 2. Yeah. Not exactly even distributed because you may have all the numbers. So maybe one is more than the other, but roughly saying it is evenly distributed with the 2 different servers. So now let's make another test. Let's go back to this one. Suppose one instance is crashed. So for example, like my server 2, I changed from running status to I terminated this instance. Now this instance is shutting down. So after that, it won't be switching between the server 1 and server 2. It will always go into server 1 because server 2 is not available anymore. Okay, it's shutting down. Now let's go back. Number 1, number 1, number 1. See, it's always number 1. So it's pretty smart. It knows that the server 2 now is not available. So it only goes to the server 1 to handle the request. Okay. There, if you go there, there's a 504 gateway timeout. So that is go that way. So then, because that way it's not completely shut down. So it still has a little chance to go to server 2. But after that, if you run it again, then it's only one. It's only one. It won't have that problem anymore. Okay. Now it's terminated. Okay. Okay. So this is a demo of the load balancer or elastic load balancer. So now we need to stop it. How to stop it or how to delete it. So then this one is already terminated. This one I also want to terminate it. Terminate. So we have to we can delete the target group and the load balancer only after the two servers are already terminated. Otherwise, if you're in the processing, you cannot delete it. Let's wait for a while. It will quickly terminate it. Okay, it's terminated. Now we can safely delete the first. We delete the load balancer. So this one, as you can see, the action is delete. Yes, delete. So load balancer is gone. Then target group. Target group, if you refresh it, so it's non-associated. Now this one, we can safely delete the training target group. Okay, then delete. Okay, so this is the finish up the test of the load balancing and the target group. Now the two instances are terminated. Now let's come back. We'll move to the next topic, which is ECS, Elastic Container Service. So this service is a service to deploy Docker images. So we will finally get a stabilized URL to connect to our REST API of the employee services. Yeah. So to build this ECS is very complicated. I will slowly to demonstrate step by step. So we already have a Docker image, how to deploy the Docker image to the ECS. And I will also cover the situation that if you don't have a Docker installed on your local laptop, we can use EC2 instance to install Docker and build your image. Yeah. So I know probably most of you buy your laptop, this is the cheap one is the home edition, not the professional edition of the Windows. So for home edition, you cannot install Docker at your local laptop. So, but we can use EC2 to do that. So here you have another experience of using EC2 to install Docker. This is EC2 is on the remote side. Now let's start from the local part. So because I use the Windows Professional, I will install Docker from my local laptop. Now, first thing is you have this employee. So let me check. The branch is master branch without the test. Okay, so first I need to build use MVN clean install to build the latest jar files. Now let's check Docker image ls to see the images. So I don't have the image, so I can use Docker build -t emp services dot. So I just create the Docker image. So Docker image ls. So you can see there's the EMP services. I just created the latest one. So that's two basic steps. I build a jar file. I use the mvn clean build install, and then I build a Docker image, the latest version. Now after that, follow my instructions. So this line is to tag the Docker image. Give a tag. The tag is EMP services 1.0. If you don't input this column part, okay. Oh, sorry. I missed one important step. So this is my repo. My repo is my repo is not correct. So I need to first let's see. Let me redo this. After we build the image, and then we go to the ECS. Let's close this one. Duplicate. Let's go to ECS. So in the ECS, we have a repository called ECR, called Elastic Container Registration. In the ECR, you can create a repository. So be careful, this repository is not a repository of your source code, not like Bitbucket. This is a repository of the images. So you have to build a repository first. So I create a repository. Let me change it to a different name. You can make it as a private or public repository. If it's a public repository, you can give the URL and the people can download your image from anywhere else. Now I make it private, and I give the repository name. I can use a training repo. I just give everything is related to our training. It's training repository. Now, then just create it. Okay, this is training repository, and under the training repository is nothing. It's nothing. Now next, I have the three lines. The three lines. First, I need to go to here. I make a copy. Let's make a copy. I already made a copy about the version. Now this one I change my repo to training repo, and this one I change to my repo to training repo. Okay, so this is my account.dkr.ecr.us east 1. This is my region, and so on. And then I use this command line to tag my is this one. So to tag my image, Docker image use ls. You can see there are two tags. One is under training repo, one is my repo. So the my repo part I can finally delete it. I don't need it anymore now. Next is to log in my AWS. Run this line to log in. So you can see login success succeeded. So this line will automatically read your AWS config file, and the config is credentials and region and the config files, and it will guarantee this is you. Then finally, I will push the 1.0 version to ECR. So in the future, we will update our employee services and connecting with DynamoDB, and then we will make the 2.0 version. We will tag it as a different version. But currently, this is the simplest version. The first version we use 1.0. So in the tag, you can give a name, and in the name, you can give a version like 1.0 or 2.0 or even 1.1.0 with 3 digits. That's fine. So then you push the image. It will take a while. Okay, it's done. After that, let's go back to this training repo. You refresh it. You will see this EMP services dash 1.0 is there. And in ECS, we will use this image to build our application under ECR, under ECS. Now, this is one thing. Now, next, if you don't have Docker installed on your local laptop, how to do that? I will show you another example. First, I need to launch the instance. instance is let's say my EC2 Docker server. Let's say it's called Docker server. So this instance is only for Docker. Just give a name. Now next, this is default. Type is t2.micro. The key pair. This time I need to use key pair. Is also use training key. Training key. And then security group. I use training SG. This is the same. Advanced details. This one I use the training EC2 row. Okay. And the data part, I don't need that anymore. I just launch the instance. Okay. Now, let's see, this is my EC2 Docker server. It's independent. Let's wait for a while until it is running. Okay, now it is running. We need to get this DNS address. Now we start with putty. Okay, EC2 user at now SSH. This one I need to add my training private key. Now let's go back to the session. So here I need to save a session called Docker session. Give a name. I save the session. This will be used for WinSCP. Okay, now I open it. Accept. Now we use sudo su. Okay, go to the EC2 user. Now follow the instruction. I need to first install Docker. Okay, then that's what I do is yum install Docker. I just install Docker. Now next, I use service Docker start to start the Docker. Now, then I can run the Docker image ls to list all the images. Now there's no image, right? There's no image. So next, we make the same folder. So to make a Docker image, we only need two things. One is the Docker file, and then is under the target. If I go to the target, under target we need the jar file. So we need to build the same structure. If you see the Docker file, so it's under target with EMP services. Okay, I don't want to change the Docker file, so then I need to make the same structure for that. Now, then I will need to let's say make dir target. Make dir target. So if you see ls, then there's a folder called target. Now next, I will run WinSCP. So in the WinSCP, I import the Docker session and the login. Now this is target. So then first, browse. Let's say browse this one. Okay. Now here I have Docker file. So on the root folder, I can drop the Docker file. So Docker file is here. Then go to the target. I will drop this EMP. This one will go to the target. I will drop this EMP services. See, it fails. The reason is it doesn't have permission. The permission denied. I use a bot. Now to make the permission, to make this target as both read and write permission, this is only read only. This is not writable. So here we have a change mode 777 of the target. I run this command. So target. Now this target has the read-write permission. Then come back to this one. So then I move it. Okay. Now I will check from here. I think this Docker session, I don't need it anymore. It's already there. Let's close it. Now, first under the root folder, I have Docker file. In the target, I have the jar file. Okay, go to the upper level. We have Docker file, so we can use Docker build -t emp services dot. Okay, it will build a Docker image. Okay, then I check the image. Yes. So we have one is the Java, right, and the other is the EMP services. Now I need to tag it. Okay, so go to this one. I tag it as in the changing repo. I tag it as 1.1 to differentiate it with my 1.0. I tag it. I right click. I tag it. Now the second step is I log in. Right? So I want to log in. So it means there's an error, right? I cannot log in. How to do that? So I need to, because in EC2, EC2 doesn't know my credential. Anybody can use the same the private key to connect to EC2. So I need to provide my credentials. Okay, so I use AWS configure to input my credentials. So this part, I will cut off my video, and after that, I will go to the next part. You can input your credentials. Okay, let's come back. I already input my credentials, and then in the input, you need to input your access key and secret key and your region. My region is US and US -east -1. Okay, after you do that, and then you can run this again. So it will say login succeeded. Then you can push the image. Copy. Right click. You can push the image. Okay. Now I think it's good. Now I can close it. I don't need it anymore. Then let's go back to the registry. So you refresh it. So you can see there are two of them. One is 1.0 and the other is 1.1. I will keep it because each of them has a URI, has a URI. So we will use it later. Okay. Now let's duplicate. Next is start our ECS demo. Okay. After this preparation, you already have image on your repository. So we will start with ECS. Now, in the slides, I will give you this one. There are two blocks. Okay, one is to deploy your Docker through EC2. This one, but unfortunately, the videos are not available anymore. So because there are some videos, let's see, which command? Yeah, video unavailable. Okay, unavailable. So even in the Fargate, it's also the same. There are two ways, EC2 or Fargate, and I will use EC2 now. So there's some clusters. So let's step by step. After we already created our image of our Spring application, Spring Boot application, so we start from cluster. We can create a new cluster. So we can select the EC2. We can select this one. Others. Okay. So let's go to the EC2. Click this one. Okay. Then next step. Now cluster name. I can give a name, say training cluster. Let's say use training cluster, and then it's on-demand instance, which means that if you launch it, it will charge you. Otherwise, it's not. But don't worry, and because you are at the free tier, so this one will not be charged. Then for this and this charge, this one I have to change to T2 micro. This is a free tier. This is a free tier. Number of instances is 1. So this is important. Number of instances is 1 means it always need to be 1. It could be 2, it could be 3. So it can deploy it distributedly. But if your number is 1, it's the minimum number is 1. It means that you cannot terminate. If you terminate your instances, it will launch another instance alternatively. Now, this one is a default AMI, and EBS, this is all use default value, the key pair. So you may or may not want to connect it. If you want to connect it, you can use our training key. Right? If not, this time I don't want to connect with SSH for this EC2 instance. And this ECS finally they will launch the EC2 instance, but this is a configuration. And VPC, create a new VPC, then this is a default one. It's a default one. Subnet, you can select 1, at least I select 2, or you can select only 1, that's fine. You can also select 2, it doesn't matter, you can select 1 or 2, just I select 1. This one you can leave it as empty. And the security group, yes, we use our security group, is our training SG security group. Now, this is a row. At the beginning, you may not see this ECS instance row. If you don't have it, then just you can create it for you. But I already built this before, then it already have an ECS instance row. You may not have that. So you just leave it empty, the system will automatically create it for you. This row will create it for you. And then tag. So you don't need a tag. So this CloudWatch container inside. So this one you can skip it, then just create. It will take a while. Until this one is green, then there's a cloud formation. So this procedure will automatically build a template for you to deploy your EC2 instance. Now it's good. Then so we come back and view clusters. So you can view your clusters. Go to this one. So we already have a training cluster. Okay. And another one, we can skip that. This is what I make a test by my own. So this is training cluster. That's the first step. We need to create a cluster. The second step, I need to create a task definition. Task definition, I can create a task definition. Okay, also use EC2. So you can use EC2 or use Fargate. Now I use EC2. Next step. Now let's start from beginning. Definition name is EMP. Let's see, because we are EMP service. EMP task definition. I use this one, EMP task definition. And select row, you can skip this part. You don't have to use it. And target execution row. So we can have there's a ECS task execution row. Use this one, ECS task execution row. Okay, so this one you need to input it. This 512. I think this is big enough. Okay, task CPU unit is all use 512. Now next is the add container. Add container. In the container, you go back. So first we use the 1.0. We can change in the future. And then the container URI is here. So this is the image URI. And the container name is EMP container. Just use EMP container. Now the important part is the mapping. So because our explode the port number 8080, so we use 8080. Okay, this is 8080. Now, so, and you can add a port mapping. I think there's a 80 to 80. Just add another one. I'm not sure you need it or you don't need it, but just in case. But we focus on the first one, 8080 to 8080. Then let's move down. And one more thing is the CloudWatch. So you need to add it, and we will check the logs. Move down. Yeah, log configuration. Add this one, log configuration. This one. Then add. Okay, we can come back, add container. Okay, here. Then finally, you just say create. So you can see create task definition successfully. This is task definition. You have EMP task definition. So that's the second step. You create task definition. The first step is cluster, to create a cluster. The second is create a task definition. Then you select this EMP task definition. Then the next step is to create a service. Now in the service, also we select EC2. If in the task definition you use Fargate, then you also need to use Fargate in the service part. Then task definition is this one, and the revision is one. So if you want to update the task definition, then you just make a revision, right? Then this is cluster, and service name as that's the EMP services, okay? And the number of tasks, only one. Already have this one. Okay, this is my batch has that one, so I have to change another name. Don't say EMP services. Let's say let's say use this name, EMP services. You can use any name, okay? And cluster. Oh, sorry. The reason is that I select wrong cluster. I have to select the training cluster, and the training cluster, okay, that's a different cluster. I can still use this name, okay. I can still use this name. Then number of tasks. This is good. This is good. Max percent. This is good. So there's a deployment circuit breaker is disabled. The circuit breaker, I will have a special topic to cover the circuit breaker. And then let's move down. I think that's good enough. The next step. Something wrong. I forgot to add this one. This is EC2. Okay, EC2, and then you have to be very careful for each choice. Okay, that's good. The next step. So this is default. So you can also have load balancer type. For example, you want to build a load balancer, but we only have one instance. So if you have more than one instance, as I just defined it, there's only one instance. If you have more than one instance, you can use load balancer. So here is provide this option. You can play with it if you want, but now we only have one instance. So we just go next step. This is also, you can configure service auto scaling to adjust your service desired count. So if you don't adjust it, it's only one. So if you use this one, you can have a minimum number of tasks. This is a desired number of tasks, and the minimum number of tasks, and the maximum number of tasks. So this means what? I just mentioned about that. So the minimum maybe is 1, the desired is 1, the maximum maybe is 4. So you can use a number. So it means if there's heavy traffic, and then the system will automatically create more instances for you. Okay, but now we don't need this one. So this one can do scale up or scale down automatically. This is a big advantage of AWS services. So now we go back to do not adjust it. Use the simple one. If you want to play with this one, you can play with this one. I just mentioned about the 3 part: minimum, desired, and maximum. Right? Minimum is at least 1 instance. Desired is the optimal is 1. Right? And maximum is 4. This is up to you. And then the system will scale up or down based on the traffic to your request. Now the next step. let's say review, then create service. Okay, then you can view services. Let's go back to the cluster. So you can see this is training cluster, and then this is EMP services, right? So after that, I think the service is starting. Now go back to the EC2 instance. Let's refresh it. So this is my EC2 Docker server is still running. Actually, I can stop this one. So because this one is help to build a Docker image, so I make this as terminated. Now this EC2 instance is running. Okay. Yeah, this one is running. Okay. Now this is a public address. Is this one? No. Let's see. 8080. Let's say EMP manage. Hello. See, hello, welcome to Spring Boot REST. So that looks good, right? So one more thing is about CloudWatch. Let's duplicate it. CloudWatch is a monitor about your system. So I can give another one, say manage search Alice. Okay, this is Alice. Okay. Now, next, I can use this URL. Let's say, let's delete this one. Let's create a new one. New REST endpoint. So this is a fixed endpoint about this one. So let's go to the EC2, and you click this one. You can have this one 8080. Okay. HTTP of this one. Okay. Now for this request, I have EMP manage search for Alice. Okay. I can use this one to create it. So you get the result, right? Now I want to use the post request with the save. Okay. In the save, I just add a name, say David, salary, say 55,000. Now let's run it. Successful, right? So if you go back to the get, and then you say search for David. Okay. So I just save this record. So everything looks good. So I think you should practice your SOAP UI to build like our local services, right? I build all the endpoints to test everything. So because this is fixed, you don't worry about something is wrong with that. Okay, so this is terminated. So this is always running. I will keep it running for several days in the next training. So you can keep it running. And also in ECS, if you want to change the image, okay, so let's go to the this ECS, go to repository and the training repo, and there another one called 1.1. You can also try this one. To do this one, you go back to ECS. Training cluster, you can see the task definition. We have EMP task definition. You select this one, and you need to have create a new revision, right? So under this one, you already have this one, task definition 1. So you can create a new revision, which is you update it. Everything is the same, but you only need to change the cluster. Okay, you change this one. You can change this to 1.1. Okay, it's also fine. Okay. Then update. Just update. Because the two service has no difference. So you can update or you don't update, it's fine. It's completely fine. So from the test, you cannot see any difference. So if you want to update service, you can update service. Go back to this one. Go to the definition. Go to cluster, training cluster. You can see the service, and the action is this update. Yeah, you can update this service to a new one. Okay. So this is a revision. The latest one is also one. Okay. You didn't change the revision, so you can also, so let's cancel it. Let's do another task definition. Change this one, you create new revision for this one. Okay. This revision, if you change this one to 1.1, yes, go to this one. This is the revision. Here, update. Then you create. So then you go back to the task definition, you go to the def, then there's a def1 and def2, right? So then after that, you go to the cluster, go to your service. Let's say the one you can say update. So the revision can go to the latest one. So you don't have to restart everything, you just change the revision and then go to the next step. Not configured, so then next step, then update service. It's just update service. Then view service. Then it's revision 2. Then it's revision 2. So then let's go to the EC2. So it won't infect anything. So if you do this one, you still can get this one. Okay? There's no change. But behind that, it's already changed. So for example, if you want to upload your image, so you change your image, you upload your new image, you update your code, and then you just update your service, update your task definition with new revision, and that's it. That's it. So you will make the code working. So you don't have to change the EC2. So this address, this one, if you launch it, you don't have to change it. It's always this one. It's always this one. And another thing is CloudWatch. Go to your log group. Okay. And then I think there should be one for, let's see, what's that? Yeah, you can see EMP task definition. Go to this one. So you can see the logs. Yeah. So let's see. So this is your log. And then you started you can see get request from by name. Okay. Then there's a hibernate, select those things. This is log. And from these things, and then get a request to search by name. So you can see this is your log. My name is Alice, right? And another request by name is search request by David, right? You search request by David, and then get request. Yes, should be a post request. Get request. So started this one. This is oh, yeah, you can see save employee David and 55, right? You can see this one. So from this one, you can see logs. So maybe at this time you understand why we need a log. From log, you can see all the what happens from this service. If anything wrong, for example, if there's any exception, and you can find out the log from here. For example, if I go to the post request, this is a save, right? So if I intensively give a wrong name, give a let's say Frank, but give a wrong salary as ABC. So there should be an exception. So internal server error, right? Then if you find this, how can you find what happens? So then go back to the to the logs. So if you see the logs now here, see the number format exception for input string ABC. So you can see that. You can see that. So from where for input string of this, and go to the map to employee entity, the line 35. Okay, map to employee entity. There's a mapper. Line 35 here. So you can quickly allocate your code. Sometimes you cannot manage everything in your code. So even you have unit testing, you have everything, but sometimes you miss something. So in the real project, the QA makes some test and find some exceptions. Then the QA will search for the logs or give you the screenshot, and you search for logs. And from logs you can find exceptions, and then quickly you can allocate what's wrong with your code, and you can quickly find the lines of the code and to see what happens. So this is actually this is a big amount of the job during the real industry. So every day you need to debug. So use different tools to debug. So I just give a very simple tool. So when people ask you about the debugging, it's not only the unit testing, and it's about this kind of test. Right? Something is not in your control, or is unexpected errors happened during the test from the QA. Now, then we build a good example for our Spring Boot app. Okay, so this is all about ECS, and we will use ECS later after we connect to DynamoDB, and we will reuse this again, and we will keep this running. Okay, thank you.